All right, Eric Rataczak. What's going on, man? How we
How
doing?
we doing? Not
Where
too
you at?
bad, man. Midland, Michigan right now. Up
Michigan.
in the Great Lakes, the Dodgers High affiliate.
Okay, okay. How are the Dodgers? So talking to my buddy who's a bench coach in AAA, he says every Dodgers organization absolutely rakes. Is that same with them?
Yeah, they're organizationally they top the charts in terms of like the xwOBA metrics. So they definitely do a good job top to bottom. Yeah, I mean they got some guys who can hit. There's nothing that's too insane, but you know, top to bottom they do a good job.
Cool, man. Cool. So first year pro ball, how's it going? Everything you expected?
Good. I mean, yeah, it's more or less what the stories I've heard, you know.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know exactly how many games I've played, but it hasn't been every day. So everyone talks about how long the season feels. So fortunately for me, it doesn't feel all that long right now, which is good. Hopefully, can lead to me having some energy on some guys come August, you know, and get everything slowing down. Started off slow from a production standpoint, but have kind of been figuring it out. So trending upwards, and
What what was that? What was that, dude?
yeah. I don't, it's hard to say exactly what the slow start was due to, but it definitely compounded into a bit of a spiral and set like a between the years sense, you know, like the abilities that like the physical abilities that I've had from the start of the season to right now in the season are relatively the same. And yet I'm pretty confident in going out and putting up good production tonight and have been putting up good production the last month and a half or so. And so I kind of attribute the difference really mentally. I don't know what exactly caused the slow start, but I didn't do a great job of stopping the slide right away, but did eventually, and so now we're back
What
on
did that
track.
feel? What did that feel like? I mean, low A. Were you low A or high A? Sorry, low A?
Hi, hi.
High A. First year pro ball, not doing well. I mean, it's got to be tough. It's got to be laying in bed, thinking negative thoughts, all that stuff.
Yeah,
How did you get out of that?
yeah. It's a great question. So, it was exactly that. Was not feeling very confident, and I reached out to some of the coaches that recruited me last year while I was on the transfer portal, and they were able to set me up with a mental performance guy through the Brian Kane company. Obviously, yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure you're familiar with Brian Kane. I'd obviously been, pretty much everyone in college baseball has exposed to some of his stuff earlier. And honestly, I was really pretty into it a few years ago, and I felt like it really helped me. And I think I kind of fell into the trap of like, I did it once, I learned those skills, I've got them, now I'm good. And as soon as you do that, the game sneaks up on you and whacks you from behind. And so I had to kind of just relearn some of those things. And the guy that I talked to from there, and then I did went through Brian's paper program too, and kind of recommitted to that mental side of things.
It's pretty simple stuff, though, isn't it?
It's so simple, man. It's so simple, and it just takes consistency. It just takes doing it every day.
It's just that compound effect of just stacking habits.
Yeah,
Stacking things
exactly.
to kind of just get your mind right, your breathing, your positive talk, your self talk, your
Yeah.
journaling, your confidence resume, things like that.
Yep.
It's
So
all that.
yeah, I've been doing the confidence conditioning. As silly as like when I first did it, I was like, this is so corny. Like, you know, this is
It
and
is.
then I do it, and I like after I get done, I'm like, all right, I kind of feel better about those things I just said. And then I kept doing it, and yeah, I was like, all right, now I actually believe in it, you know? The big one for like the biggest thing, honestly, I feel like for me, and there are so many things to draw from his philosophies, but the idea of confidence being more of an action than it is a feeling. You can, man, nobody's going into games in August like feeling great, you know?
No. No.
Nobody's waking up after game however many in a row like feeling really good. But it doesn't matter. Guys still perform in August. Guys still hit homers in August. Like it's still you're able to succeed in August. So that stuff really doesn't matter. And Brian talks a lot about how confidence is through your self-talk, your body language, and your focus. And those are all
Yep.
things that you can act on and control. And it's another thing where I was like, all right, sounds great on paper and everything, but like I really don't feel confident and I do those things, I'm just going to feel like I'm lying to myself. And sometimes it does feel like that, but the idea that obviously your thoughts can affect your actions, like, you know, quite obviously, that's pretty much how acting
Yeah.
works.
Well, they can. The key word is they can affect.
Well, right, yeah, but everybody knows that. But what people aren't as bought in on is that your actions can affect your thoughts then. Like, if I don't if I don't think or feel confidence, but then I act confidently, all of a sudden your brain starts feeling confidence. And there you go. And that's just
We
like
are
a shortcut.
complicated human beings, aren't we? All this stuff going on. But
Yeah.
it's feelings and thoughts. And, it's a funny thing I always say to the, young dudes like you. It's like, imagine 5 years ago talking about your feelings as much as you do now. There's no way. There's no way. You'd be like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? I don't care how you feel. What about process? Do you guys work on the MVP process at all?
Yeah. So the guy that I talked to through his program is, we've kind of worked together to build out some specific, actions that go into the process. The first one that we hammered on right away was how to deal with the pitch clock because I felt like from college to pro ball, they do shorten up the pitch clock from college to pro ball. And my process in terms of getting centered and breathing pre-pitch during my IB or before my IB in college was designed around the college pitch clock and it was slower and more intentional and I liked that about it. And I felt the first debut I ever had in pro ball, I got pitch clocked to go down 0-1 doing that process. And ever since then, I just always felt kind of a little rushed, just kind of a little subconsciously like not like I wasn't getting out of that process what I needed to get out of it. And so we were like, all right, go set up, get a bat, put your clock to 9 seconds on your stopwatch on your phone, and just do reps of it until you get your process condensed into a time that can fit within the pro pitch clock. So that was the start of that stuff, and that helped me figure out how to time everything with that with the new pitch clock. It helped me most importantly get to the place I needed to be mentally and focus wise from that process. It's not like I was just doing it to do it. It's like, all right, how do I get to this place within this time constraint? And then the other thing that we added in was just a quick post AB journal, not journal, but like, you just write down a bullet point or two
The word
about,
journal has kind of watered everything down, but
yeah,
it is a journal, It's what it is. We're all
yeah,
journal.
it's just a thought about the AB. It's like, all right, did you win? Why? Did you lose? Why? And then if something needs to change, like uh, a thought on what to change.
Well, one of the best pieces I ever got from Brian was the well, better, how. It's keeping
Yeah,
everything.
yep,
What I
yep,
do well, what could I do better? How am I going to do it?
yep,
And like right after the game, like let's get that stuff
yeah,
fresh. Okay, I
yeah,
did that good. I stuck at that. Okay, how am I going to change that tomorrow? Instead
yeah,
of soaking in it, at least you can release, reset, anchor to something new, right?
yeah. The well better how is like I do it in his like per his instruction once a week
Okay.
around my routines and stuff, but I never really thought of that. That's essentially what the post AB little notebook jot down is. It's just on a micro scale of like, okay, were you on time? No, okay, get on time. Like that's better and how right there. Or I was on time. Okay, that's the well.
So you're
And
keeping are you keeping track in game?
yeah, yeah. Because I feel like the thing that people got to remember, especially for a 24-year-old playing their first year in pro ball, just every single one counts. Like there is no take a year to develop and figure it out.
That
If
year,
if you can,
you could be
you
an
know,
independent real quick.
if that evaluation process helps you to make an adjustment and you're doing it after the game, why not do it after the first AB and get the second, third, and fourth AB? And obviously, there's definitely a point to which you can do that too much, and you can. I used to do like, I used to kind of be a write in my book after at bats kind of guy earlier in my college career, and it wasn't done in a concise and effective enough way. It got to the point where it was just too much, and it was too heady and too cerebral, which kind of took away from the athleticism. But I think now that I kind of am aware more what kind of player I am and what works for me, it's just a quick,
So,
concrete way to make an adjustment.
similar to how you're getting ready on deck. You have your routine after you're at bat. It might take
Yep.
15 seconds, but it takes time to
Exactly.
develop, right? And
Yeah.
there's trial and error. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Did you learn some of that from the Rogers crew?
Yeah. I never talked
'Cause I know
about with
Will.
Travis or any of them with,
I know Will's always talking about his journal.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me that he keeps one. I haven't talked with Travis about that specifically, but I mean, it's all the same ideas, with them. So,
Yeah. Um. So obviously pregame routines have changed. Everything's evolving for you.
yeah.
What like where do you see yourself? Do you see things changing? Do you is what you're doing obviously working for you right now? You
Yeah.
have your performance coach, you got your routine. How's the last month been production wise for you?
Yeah. I would say I don't have the numbers exactly on
You keep that stuff out of your head.
the, yeah, I try not to look at my stats straight up. We have our internal stats like xwOBA and stuff that I check in on, but in terms of batting average, RBIs, all that, I don't really look at that. What's that?
Quality at bats.
We don't really do those. No, we're pretty much entirely bought in on the expected xwOBA stuff.
Can you break that down? Obviously, xwOBA. I know what xwOBA is, but you're in it. Can you break
Yeah,
down quickly
sure.
what it means to you and
So
what it means to the organization?
exactly, yeah. So how it works for us with the Marlins is that is the metric that we're evaluated on hitting wise. It's I don't want to say live and die because if you get into that headspace, you're gonna, as Brian says, you're gonna die a lot, or as Ravizza says, you're gonna die a lot. But it is the most important one, and it's the one that players are most evaluated on. I'm not exactly sure how the formula works to
A
to
lot of
exactly break it down,
a lot
but
of organizations base their salaries on xwOBA and contract offers on xwOBA because it's basically if that player wasn't there, the metric of how hard you hit the ball,
yeah,
everything you're doing process wise. So xwOBA is about process; it's not about outcome, and that's why
exactly.
I really love xwOBA. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And so I do know what it takes into account, and there's the xwOBA and xwOBA con. xwOBA is just has walks and strikeouts factored in. xwOBA con is what happens when you hit the ball at contact. And xwOBA con, it takes into account your launch angle and your exit velocity. And if you're at the big league level, or I think maybe some AAA levels that have the ability to get the spray, they call it, kind of where it is left to right field, they take that into account too. And
And they're going
based
to
on
take
those,
your exit velo and on spray.
yeah. And so based on those numbers, it gives you uh, a number from 0 if you strike out to, I don't know what it exactly goes up to. I think the highest I've seen is like 2.6. 2.6 is going to be like if you hit a ball 112 at 30 degrees, just an absolute,
You do that.
monster moonshot. Not as much as I'd like to,
I've seen your
but
Instagram.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But so that number then, at least in the Marlins organization, is put on. It's there's a sheet hung in our batting cages every week that has every player in the org, 1 to 60, or I don't know exactly what it is, but top to bottom, every hitter in the org from the big league level down to the FCL, ranked by their xwOBA, and then it's got the each level's average line in there too. So it's got like a high A average benchmark, a low A average benchmark, a big league benchmark. And basically, if you're above the line long enough, you get called up to that level. If you're above that line long enough, you get called up to that level. There's a little more that goes into it, but that's the gist of it.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
it's like you said, it is,
I'm getting Carson Vitale on the podcast here in a little bit. He's a bench coach with the big league team, so I can't wait to talk about that with him as well.
yeah, ask him about, yeah, the top of our list right now is Kyle Stowers, and it's not even close. Um, yeah, he's had a monster year. But like you said, it is exactly process oriented. So the days there are people in other orgs, who it's still kind of like I lined out at 110 to the center fielder, and I'm not happy about that. I'd rather have the cheap hit over the second baseman off the hands because that shows up in the average. Not the case here at all. If you have a day where you go over 4 with 4 balls that are over a 1 xwOBA, like that's a massively productive day. Massively. Whereas if you go 4 for 4 with 4 weak hits, it's like, it's all right, but it's not great.
Yeah, it pads that average, which, I hear them talking about it all the time, especially, I think there's one team hitting above 270 in the big leagues right now, something like that. But, average isn't what it used to be, right? There's not a
No.
bunch of Tony Gwynns and those kinds of guys anymore. Tell me about your at bat, your approach, what you're doing, and what your mindset is up there. Obviously hitting balls hard. How do you? Because this is something I find, and I don't know if you can relate when you were in high school, etc. Very mechanically focused at a young age, and almost paralysis by analysis. And kids forget that you got to get that bat head moving. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. You could look like Hunter Pence, like he's having a
Yeah.
stroke there,
Yeah.
but he's hitting the shit out of the ball. What kind of not's changed? Obviously, you hit the ball real hard, but how do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think mechanics allow you more room for error. So if your mechanics are pristine, you have the most room for error, which then over the course of a long season translates to good numbers. So that's why mechanics are good and important and everything, but they can't be changed in one swing. They can't be changed in one at bat. So thinking about them at the plate, as most people know, is not worth it. It's not gonna get you where you need to be. For me personally, I very much try in before any count, before 2 strikes. My goal is to hit the ball absolutely as hard as I can, to catch the ball out front, to in no cases is the goal pre 2K to ever slow my swing down to force contact. Sometimes I have to consciously remind myself that, like,
So,
you
what
know,
you mean there, and let me just reiterate this. I think this is what you mean because this is something I have conversations with hitters all the time. If you're looking fastball 1-0 and he throws you a curveball, you do not adjust your swing to make contact. You swing out of your ass and you miss that pitch so you can go.
yeah, I mean, you you do that. There's varying grades to the result of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
circumstance. So say you're
I know what you're
looking,
saying. I see so many guys give in
yeah,
to off speed that the pitchers won. The pitchers upset their timing, and now they've hit
yeah,
a shitty little fly ball to the shortstop
yeah,
instead of trusting the process, swinging hard,
yep,
missing, getting another pitch.
exactly. Yeah. So like in that scenario, best case scenario is your body is able to react and to hold on to whatever load that you have if it's a breaking ball in the zone and you hammer that just like you just catch it a little further out front in the fastball, which is great. That's best
You
case
catch it in the
scenario.
front, you hit a little top spinner, you hit a top spin double down the line, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Next best case scenario is again if it's a strike to exactly like you said, swing through it and get yourself another pitch. Worst way below that, way down there on the ladder, worst case scenario is reach the arms out, poke it to the shortstop, and now you're weak contact, unproductive, don't get another chance to do it. Yeah. So yeah, my approach definitely is pre 2K. I'm looking for a pitch. I tend not to try and look for like sit on certain pitches unless I really have the numbers on the pitchers to back it up. But I try and just say I'm looking for a pitch that my body sees as it's able to hit over the fence. Like, does my
Are
body
you guys
recognize this as a pitch to
are you guys getting
absolutely
much info? Are you guys getting much info pregame on pitchers, at your level?
we get an advance report that gives the numbers. Some guys, the guys who have been here all year and who have thrown a lot, generally have pretty good reports on them. But if they're coming off injury or if they're moving up and down levels and stuff a lot, there'll sometimes be you'll see a guy who's like, oh, he throws 80% fastballs, but we have 6 innings of data from him, and so you get out there and it's not really the same. Um,
He's working on he's working on a new pitch, and you
right.
guys are screwed.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like you can't. The advanced report is just a little bit of information. Like there's you can't if they don't pitch exactly to their report. It's that doesn't mean you can't be successful. It doesn't mean that you know.
Well, I think
A lot of guys
organizational.
blame the sheet sometimes, and you can't be getting in that
Well,
habit.
that's fucking that's the worst because organizationally, in my opinion, something, I'm not sure if you guys do this, but I did this even just in summer ball. We had the ability, we had TrackMan, we had everything. So we got all the data on guys on where they were hot, where they were cold, hot zones, cold zones as hitters. So, I would challenge guys because I knew the opposing team had these analytics. I would challenge them to look for balls in their cold zones and try to get after it. Is that something you guys think about or talk about?
Um, not not exactly. If anything, it's usually probably the other way around. But I would say it's only like I think the difference there is the levels. Like if you're working with the youth guys, like
We're talking summer ball development, right? So I'm
yeah,
challenging guys.
yeah,
You don't hit
exactly.
the inside well, you're probably going to see inside pitches. Let's see what you can do
Yeah,
with your hands here.
yeah, yeah. Whereas with us, we're trying to maximize the potential of the players that we are. Most of us are in pro ball for a good reason, and so that we try and play to our strengths essentially. And the guys that are truly great are the guys who, even when they get a little outside their strengths, they're still able to make it work. So there's definitely benefit to being able to see one in your cold
Yeah.
zone and still make it work.
Are you guys graded? Like, do you get information as to what the organization sees about you, like on a 20 to 80 scale? Are you guys still graded on that yearly?
Yeah, defensively or offensively?
Well, we're talking offensively. I don't think you were
Yeah,
drafted as defensively, right?
no, I wasn't. I only ask because the reports that we get back defensively are more on the traditional 20 to 80 scale.
Gotcha. Hey, where you at? Where you at? Where were you at last time?
On the defensive stuff,
Yeah.
so we break it down as outfielders into we have the reaction time, and then there's also a burst time and a jump time, which are basically just different parts of you running after the ball. And then there's an overall OAA, which is outs above average. That one's pretty well known. And so the OAA is the most ultimately important one. And I believe the last time we checked in at that, I was either like plus zero point 0.5 or minus zero point 0.5, was essentially just breaking even, which would be what 50 on the 20 to 80 scale, right? Is that
Okay.
right in the middle?
Yeah.
Um, and then they break it down further into that. So like my reaction grade is pretty good. It's like a 65 or a 70, but my jump grade, which is like the second after it, the reaction is like the very first second, and then the jump is the 2 seconds, the first 2 seconds or whatever. And my reaction is really good. It's like a 65 or 70 grade. Like I said, my jump grade is like a 30, a 25 or a 30. So
How do you? So what's the obviously you're doing early work, et cetera, to work on that stuff.
yeah, so our organization this year, their philosophies for the outfield and defense in general is to be the best org in the league at reaction. And they think that was where the most ground to gain kind of was in player development. And so we pretty much focus exclusively on that this year. And pretty much everybody has jumped pretty highly in reaction grades, myself included. The jump part of it that I'm not as good at has to do more with the raw speed, which is something that I'm still working to develop.
That's your feet, right? That's those feet moving.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that one will probably be targeted more in the off season for me. We do speed work, but it's tough
Yeah.
to
Exert.
override. Yeah, it's tough to really push that bar that far up in season. So hopefully this off season I'll be able to work on that some more, and that way I can take that good reaction and get a better jump behind it too, and turn myself into a plus outfielder.
How's the health? Obviously I know you're diabetic.
Yeah.
How's that been? Organization been? Are there other guys on the team that are similar?
We don't have anyone on this affiliate who's diabetic, but we had a Spencer Bramwell plays double A. He's diabetic as well. I haven't checked in on him super recently, but as far as I know, he's doing all right up there. He's one of their catchers. But in terms of my health, it's been good. I haven't missed anything for any sorts of injuries or whatnot. Haven't had any complications elsewise. I attribute a lot of that to routines, to sleeping, eating, hydrating. I feel like there's no reason why I can't play 130 or 162 when I get there. And that's my goal, is to be available for each one. And so far, I've been able to do that. Yeah, like I said, I attribute that a lot to the consistency out of the diet and the sleep and whatnot.
Well, consistent, just good habits, really
Yep.
good habits. It's boring lifestyle in a sense, but,
Yeah, it
we're
does.
talking
It does get boring a little bit sometimes, but it's all
delayed
right.
gratification, delayed gratification at its finest, man. I mean,
Exactly.
that's when you get that call or you move up a level,
Yeah.
there you go. That's all worth it. So
Yep.
let me ask you one last question before we wrap up here, Eric. What does surrender the outcome mean to you? I ask everybody this.
Surrender the outcome based on quick
Based on
analysis of,
anything. Based on
yeah.
you could be up to that. You could be,
No, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
let's go on AB. Surrender the outcome.
I think something that's come up in a lot of the kind of daily journals that I do, kind of outside of baseball, the reflection component of some stuff that I do, and then actually how that works into baseball a lot too is kind of just trusting, like trust, in the sense
Yeah.
that there's actually a great book about golf called 7 Days in Utopia. It's a movie too, actually, but the book's better. One of the things that's like about the mental game of golf, and one of the things, the big mottos in it is see it, feel it, trust it. It's where you see it, you go up to the tee box, you see the shot, you feel how it feels to hit that shot, and then that's it. You trust it. You go from there. You let the outcome be the outcome. If you're a catcher and a guy's stealing and you have a hard time throwing guys out, you just get up and you let it rip. And what happens, happens. You might overthrow it. That's, a real possibility. You you know, might be too late to it, but like you just got to get up and let it rip to give yourself that chance. So you got to do everything you can preparation wise, and then once it's time to let it fly, trust it, and then surrender the outcome to whatever it may be.
Cool, man. I appreciate that. Any advice to some high school kids right now, based on your journey, where you are now versus where you were in high school mentally?
Yeah, I would say that um, almost nobody plays to their ceiling, and if you can play to 95% of yours while somebody else is playing to 70% of theirs, maybe their 70% is equal to your 95% because they're just a crazy talent. Just about everybody out there has more ceiling in them than they're probably aware of or that other people are aware of. And there's no reason why. All you need to do is just find that ceiling for yourself, and then you go out there and show it a couple times, and now everybody starts believing in it.
Well, then you set a new baseline for yourself, right? It's funny.
Exactly.
It's funny you say that. I'm working with a hitter right now. He's 12 years old. Great kid. We put a blast sensor on his bat finally, just to see his bat speed. I'm like, this is going to be the perfect tool for you. So let's see your swing 100%. So he swings. He was like 55-mile-an-hour swing.
Yeah.
Now he's up to a 62, and now that's the baseline.
Yeah.
As we talked about, you don't know your ceiling until you can actually, that's why I like to measure things. That's why we measure
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's expected. So we actually put some white tape on his bat, and we just wrote 62 on it for games. And just so he
Yeah.
has that mindset of like, okay, 62,
Hell yeah.
62, I know what that feels like.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I really like that message, dude, because that is, it's a tough one. It's hard to understand what your ceiling is until you push through. I
Yeah.
mean, I just competed in an Ironman, and I don't know what my ceiling is running. Like, I'm actually going to start working with a running coach
Yeah.
to be like, is this 100%? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just running.
I mean, you see it all the time in the gym with people. If you train people who aren't super, experienced lifting weights, and you say, go until you're 1 rep short of failure, and they'll go, and then you'll make them, every time you'll be able to
Every time.
squeeze 4 or 5 more reps out of them.
So, yeah, yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Eric, I appreciate it, dude. Good luck. You guys play tonight?
Yep. Yes, sir.
You in the lineup?
Yes, sir. Right field.
Right field. Where are you hitting in the lineup? You have 3, 4 hole?
I was three last night. I'm two tonight. I've been getting a little 2 hole action, which is new for me ever since. Yeah, I haven't been 2 hole since
Does that
probably
change anything in
middle
your mind?
school. I mean, not really. It's just you kind of got to be ready to go on the road because you're playing. You're the first half, so you're up there right away. But
Oh man, come out of the well. You can come out with your batting gloves, ready to roll. I guess you're on the
yeah,
road, so. But okay. Well, good luck tonight, dude. Appreciate
yeah.
you coming on. All saves, okay.